Hello! Today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in March. In March, I think I found a new all-time favorite horror book and my new favorite book that I've read so far this year. And I also read some semi-forgettable average thrillers, but that typically happens every month. So, I'm just going to jump straight into it and talk about The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which is the new favorite horror in question. Because this was so good. It was so good. This is a story about a group of 4 Blackfeet men that one night when they're in their late teens, they go out hunting together and they discover this huge cluster of elk. And one of the 4 boys, Lewis, has a particularly interesting encounter with one of these elk. And after the night, they are all being hunted down by this elk-head woman. It took me like 5 days to read the first 20 pages of this. Like, I could not get into the story. I was reading like 2 pages at a time. I could barely understand what the hell was going on. But then I decided to restart from the beginning. And then suddenly everything clicked. And I read it all in like 2 days. I think that my favorite part about this, well, pretty much everything was really, really good. I love the characters. I think that the 4 boys, now turned men, were all unique, and I really got a sense of who they were as people, which I think is something that is a bit more challenging to do in thriller and horrors. I feel like sometimes thriller and horror books can focus so much on like the plot and the very like shocking or graphic elements that the characters can sometimes feel a little neglected. But in this, the characters were like the core focus of the story. Also, the atmosphere, wow. There's just this constant feeling of dread where you're anticipating stuff to happen, but the build-up to the actual things that happen is done so well. And I know that I think I read some people thought that it went way too slow, but personally, because I was so interested in the characters and just everything that the story was doing, that didn't bother me at all, and it made those moments where we got to see like the elk-head woman doing her thing that much more enjoyable. Since I finished this, I've thought about it several times and I've been like, remember that scene? Remember that scene? I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, rounded up to a 5 on Goodreads. I think that there is something that could have been done to make me like it even more, but I don't know what that is. I feel like I view this more as an experience. The reason why I liked it so much was because the experience, once it actually clicked with me, was just like devouring every single thing that was going on, and there was a lot going on. And the feelings it made me feel with like the horror, the dread, the scariness, except I wasn't like scared, but it definitely did make me go like, wow. This is definitely my new favorite like horror book I've read, and in like the mystery thriller horror whatever, it's definitely one of my new favorites. I feel like alongside Sharp Objects, the 2 of them are representative of what I like a lot. I am so excited to pick up more by Stephen Graham Jones because I know that he has an extensive backlist. Based off of how much I enjoyed this and how much I enjoyed that writing and atmosphere that he created, I can't imagine what his other works are like, and I could definitely see myself enjoying them a lot. So I need to get on that. The next book is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Vuong. This book was exactly what I expected it to be and exactly what I wanted it to be, which was something that would make me cry and feel a lot of emotions due to the writing. This is a novel that is written as a letter from the narrator, who is only referred to as Little Dog, and it's a letter to his mother. It was so beautifully written, and there were so many moments where I forgot that this was a piece of fiction because it felt so real to me. It made me cry, more specifically the kind of cry where tears were just silently coming out of my eyes, and I was just reading the pages. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars because I think that there were many elements of it that kind of flew over my head and that I couldn't fully grasp the depth of. Like, I feel like this is something that is bigger than what I can comprehend. Basically, in short, I am saying that I am too young and too stupid to comprehend a lot of stuff, but I still like reading it. And the next 2 books I'm going to talk about at the same time because they are pretty much the same book, just slightly different. And they are The Guest List and The Hunting Party, both by Lucy Foley. These are both thrillers that follow a group of people in a secluded location away from most of civilization. They all have reasons to kill each other. Somebody dies. Who was it? You don't know until like 3/4 of the way through the book. However, The Guest List is set at a wedding taking place on an island off the coast of Ireland, and The Hunting Party is a group of friends that have known each other for like 10 years or something like that, and they rent out a sort of cabin-like thing in the Scottish wilderness. So I read The Guest List first, and I liked it. It reminded me a lot of One by One by Ruth Ware. I enjoyed the reading experience of both of them, but the actual plot and mystery itself, I feel, could have been like improved. So yeah, I really like this. I gave it like 3.5 stars at first, but then I think it's more of a 3 because the more I think about it, the more like kind of not forgettable, but kind of just like generally average it seems. It's what I expected it to be pretty much. I wasn't expecting much, honestly. I did like the atmosphere. I think that the wedding on the island definitely added something. Before I had started reading this, I knew of The Hunting Party, and I knew that people had said that it was pretty much the exact same thing, but with like minor changes, and that you really did not need to read it. And I made note of that, and then I finished this and I was like, oh, I liked this. I wonder if I would like The Hunting Party more. And then I read reviews for The Hunting Party where people were saying that it was so much better than The Guest List. And then the next day I saw The Hunting Party at my local grocery store, and I was like, it's not gonna hurt if I read it, right? And then I did, and it was so boring compared to The Guest List, and also just in general on its own. But I still gave it 3 stars. This was exactly what people said it was, which is a near carbon copy of The Guest List. For this one, I felt like everything that I enjoyed about The Guest List was like stripped away. I think what I liked about The Guest List was that each character that we were following had a set role because of the wedding. So there's like the wedding planner, the bride, the bridesmaid, the best man, the +1. And it was much easier to like differentiate them from each other. And it was easy to see the surface level relationships between all of them. Whereas this was just like a group of random people that had some personality but really were just all forgettable and mishmashed together, especially the characters that we weren't following their perspectives from. Like, there were characters in here that didn't serve any purpose other than just being there. And the plot twist in this one wasn't as good as the one in The Guest List either. And I think that in The Guest List there were multiple plot twists throughout, whereas this had just like one big reveal at the end, but it wasn't that big of a reveal because it felt like one of the most basic options that you could go for. They were still both like enjoyable enough to read, but I definitely like this one more, and I should have listened to myself and not picked this one up. Here they are, all of the lovely, lovely books I read this month. I don't know if I did justice talking about my love for The Only Good Indians, but just know that this was very good. Very good. And so is this, although I'm still trying to kind of process what happened. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!